That is a huge KPI to our project. Our wholesale is about 70% of our business. And so at 70%, you can imagine if we're getting a 10% chargeback on that's a significant amount. And so one of the big KPIs for us in this project is making sure that the chargebacks of products that are due to incorrect data, missing data, just regulatory data being there, and then trying to keep up with the pace of change that the wholesalers have. It has a challenge in itself. And so even when we think that we have it down and it's solid, we find that it's not. And because of how difficult it has been in the past to keep that data up to date with them and do our seasonal loads versus kind of here's our delta, it leaves us extremely susceptible to returns for bad data, incorrect data, and missing data. And just that alone, I feel like is going to have such a big impact on really our ROI of this project.
Nice. and that's really good. Thank you for sharing that, because I think we talk a lot about digital product passport in Europe, that it's a new regulation, but you talked about an example that is just on, like in the US, there is a state like changing regulations on certain type of equipments. And so suddenly you have to send a new attribute you're not aware about. And with all these Excel spreadsheet stuff must be like really complex, right, to manage. So there is also that in North America that we need to follow, or a tool to help follow regulations.
Absolutely. And so what happens often in this situation with Utah is I have this regulation and I need to inform the customer of some kind of information that is associated with it. And it's great. We get all of the data that we know kind of updated into our descriptions and all that. Awesome. But we haven't done anything, right? So we updated data, but we didn't have the means to kind of push that data out to all of our wholesalers and website and and so in order to do that, it literally, in today's world, pre-Inriver, they have to rebuild every template from scratch because there's no repository of a lot of the data information. And so something as simple as, does this have a battery, is nowhere in the company.
You have to recreate everything.
And so for every product, we have to go, does this have a battery? Does this have a battery? And then to make things worse is if we have 40 vendors that need to know if it has a battery, we have to go each vendor by vendor and say, does it have a battery for this vendor? Well, no, it didn't have a battery for the last vendor, so why would it have for this? And so you can imagine the amount of duplication within those 40 syndications. And in our future world, it will be as simple as saying, okay, select these, syndicate, send, all done. And then I can go back to legal and I can say, hey, I feel like we're in compliance. I feel like we don't run a risk. And I say I, meaning like the PIM and the team and everybody, we've now reduced our risk as a company. We've increased our profitability and really we've kept our customer updated, right?